Verizon time. It's time for the regular board meeting for June 10th. Thank you for all being here at 6 o'clock. And sorry if you didn't hear me, my mic's not on. And can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Orch?
Here.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Okay, can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we sit down for our moment of meditation, we lost a very special man, Bruce Prano. He was a stoic figure that sat back there in this chamber many years, and he was very insightful, very intelligent, and he brought a lot to this township. So I just would love for everybody to keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you so much.
And Chair, before you start, I'd like to recognize the crowd that we have that did a fantastic pledge. It made me so happy to hear everybody sing the pledge.
Okay. And then we have some approval of minutes.
Thank you, Board. I would recommend a motion for the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on May 22nd, 2025.
I motion that we approve the May 22nd minutes.
And I'll second that.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got some public hearings.
Yes, Board, the first public hearing tonight is a public hearing on the 2026 tax budget. The tax budget was attached as a draft. There is a deficit in one fund, which we will correct before adoption, but in order to meet statutory dates, we felt it prudent to have the public hearing tonight as drafted, and we'll correct it for the final version. So with that, I'd recommend opening the public hearing.
I'll motion to open the public hearing on the 2026 tax budget.
I'll second that. Okay, sorry.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
I think if anybody's wishing to speak on the tax budget, if you would like to stand and be sworn in by the law director.
This is fun and exciting stuff. Nobody wants to speak.
Hearing and seeing none, I'll motion to close the public hearing on the 2026 tax budget.
I will second Matt's motion.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. The next item is another public hearing. This is related to BZA case 25-3. This is a new process for us related to abandoned signs throughout the township. This one specifically, I believe, well, Mr. Miller's here to introduce that.
We did discuss it briefly in the previous meeting when we set the public hearing, but over the years we have taken pictures of abandoned signs, but never did anything. So what we're doing now is moving forward with a process that we've created, and we'll approve that process by resolution in a, hopefully approve in a later section. But this public hearing would be for the Board of Trustees to consider the case BZC, what was it?
BZA 25-3.
25-3 and then 25-5. So the Board of Zoning Appeals has previously heard these cases. We've sent numerous pieces of mail certified to the owners of the properties, notifying them of the condition of their signs, the fact that the signs do not any longer represent or signify that there's an ongoing concern in the building that the sign is placed on the parcel. And so under the definitions of the zoning resolution, it would be considered an abandoned sign. And so this is a process that we are trying to mimic to a degree the junk vehicle process. And so for you to look at the information in the packet and consider the fact that the sign has been abandoned and then declare it such later on, then that would be the time that we would notify the owner that the Board of Trustees has declared your sign abandoned and you have 10 days to remove it, or we would take action as a township and then assess their property for those costs. So that's the background on that.
So I'll motion to open the public hearing, and just for clarity's sake, there has to be two separate. This is the public hearing, Board of Zoning Appeals case BZA-25-3, declaration of abandoned sign and ordering abatement. I'll motion to open that public hearing.
I will second Matt's motion. It looks like it's the one at 9391 Pippin Road.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, so I second Matt's motion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Similar to the last public hearing, if there's anyone who would like to speak on this, please stand and be sworn in.
Again, a fun topic.
For the record, I did visit both locations today, took pictures, and I also was able to speak to individuals that either that were on site.
So seeing and hearing no comments, I'll motion to close public hearing, Board of Zoning Appeals case BZA-25-3, declaration of abandoned sign and ordering abatement.
And I will second Matt's motion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. At this point, I'll motion to open up a public hearing, Board of Zoning Appeals case BZA-25-5, declaration of abandoned sign and ordering abatement.
I'll second.
And as part of the discussion, that appears to be the one that is located at 3633 Blue Rock Road.
Yes, sir.
No other discussion.
So if you're new to this, the reason we're having this is for citizen comment. We have, when it's voted on by the board, we will have our comments with regard to it. So it's an opportunity for people to weigh in on what they feel with regard to the issue.
Does anybody want to speak?
Well,
Or-
we got a
Oh, sorry.
roll call.
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Similar to the past, if there's anyone who wishes to speak on this public hearing, seeing none, I'd recommend closing.
Hearing and seeing none, I'll recommend that we close the public hearing, Board of Zoning Appeals case BZA-25-5, declaration of abandoned sign and ordering abatement.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. The next two items are presentations, which will be handled by Police Chief Ed Cordy.
Welcome, Chief.
Bear with me a second. Brian's getting Teo out of the vehicle. We expected that to go a little bit longer than it did, so give us just a
Yes.
second here.
He wants to come to his own party?
Well, rather have Teo controlled for a little bit longer, so he'll be coming in.
I see him over yonder, as we say.
There he comes.
I'll get a very few opportunities to brag about Brian and what he does, so I want him to be in the room, so. All right, thank you, Board. Not very often we get to have an honor like this, and I'll be honest, I've never retired a canine before, so this is an interesting aspect for me as well. But since as I said, I've never done this, I figured let's just talk about Teo and what he's done. So I asked Brian to put together a couple, just some of his stats and some of his career achievements that he's done. So it's pretty impressive. You never know, this dog's so close to you. I know Brian's got him under control, but that's a big dog. So Officer Huntington.
Teddy bear.
Yeah. Well, with him there, I'm good. So Officer Huntington and Canine Teo, throughout their career, have worked together, were assigned to Road Patrol, Special Investigative Unit, the DEA Task Force, and are currently the Impact Team. Brian is a certified canine trainer and evaluator, and he's will be soon certified through the state of Ohio as a canine trainer as well. So it's important to know that while Teo is a fantastic dog and some of the achievements he has are pretty outstanding, Teo is a reflection of the handler. Without the handler there, I'm not sure Teo would have been able to do this. So while I'm going to tell you Teo's stats, they're also a true reflection of Brian and what he's actually been able to do, not only in his career, but in his time with Teo. During their time together, he's had 352 deployments for patrol and narcotics. While he was with the patrol unit, he assisted patrol 56 times with the location and arrest of suspects. He had 3 apprehensions during that time. If we want to talk about narcotics, he seized 8,391.5 grams of marijuana, or 18.5 pounds, 19,504.5 grams of methamphetamine, 43 pounds. The biggest hit of that became a 37-pound seizure, 1,043.26 grams of heroin or fentanyl, which is 2.3 pounds, 2,948.35 grams of cocaine, 6.5 pounds, 220 rounded 7 grams of mushrooms. And during his time working in conjunction with DEA, this unit here seized over $2.6 million in illegal drug money. Brian has conducted and participated in over 80 canine demonstrations and public events for our community, schools, and National Night Out. Brian, unbelievable career with this dog. I'm excited to see what you're going to do with Tiko. Good job.
I think we have a couple other presentations here.
Officer Huntington, for a thanks from my family for Teo. I don't know how close to get him, but I have a retirement basket.
Sorry, I was going to let Jamie go first, but this.
Special attention to the Putin dog. He can go ahead and tear that up, and there's a McGruff toy in there as well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for all your service.
And then,
I wanted to wish him happy retirement.
All kinds of.
Share with Tiko.
This was set off mic, so I'll repeat it. This was a donation from Colerain PetSmart for Teo and his retirement as well. So thank you to PetSmart for that. Brian, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, looks like
we're getting feedback that you need to talk to the mic, please.
Yeah. Teo should have done that.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone for their support over the years. The K-9 unit, when we first started this in 2015, was brand new to this police department, and we had a lot of trials and errors throughout this process. I couldn't have asked for a better police dog. I remember going up and we were selecting Teo and thinking, man, this is the dog I always wanted. Like this is it. He's big, he's strong, and he's great at everything he does. What made Teo special though is not only was he awesome at being a police dog, but he had a good on and off switch, and we were able to do a lot of public demos and community events, and really reach people on a different side of things than we would as a regular police officer out on the street when we show up and bad things are happening at these public events and demos. Everyone's very happy to see us, and we're able to make contact with them and have kids pet the dogs, take pictures with them and stuff like that. And it's just a real good feel-good moment for the police department and the community. I personally think this is probably one of the best community policing tools we have. Bad people hate the dogs. Good people love the dogs. And, we're able to reach out and make a lot of contact with people through that. Teo had an impressive career. It's hard to not hold my next partner, Tiko, to the same standard. I'm going to be thinking of Teo all the time. I hope Tiko rises to the challenge of filling Teo's big shoes here. Teo is one of the biggest police dogs in the county here, and for my next dog, Tiko, I had to shave a couple pounds off because I'm not getting any smaller here, or getting any younger. But I just want to thank the police department for giving me this opportunity over the years to not only be a police canine handler, but work with the people in the units that I have to go out there and truly impact, I believe, our community. Want to thank the command staff and the Township administration for allowing us to have this program and being supportive, along with the patrol officers who lay tracks and do training with us all the time. I certainly want to thank my family, my parents, my fiance, who helped me out in my personal life. Canine adds a lot of extra stress and complicates your personal life a lot. I'm with my canine partner more than I'm with my family, and just having their support at home makes life easier for me. Countless hours away from home training to be good. You can't train for a job enough that could kill you. So we put these dogs and ourselves in a lot of situations that are extremely dangerous, and it's very important to be really good at what we do. I'd also like to thank the Citizens Police Academy. They've been kind of our biggest cheerleaders from the beginning of our canine unit. The Miamitown Pet Hospital for everything they've done for us over the years. And last but certainly not least, the Haverkamp Foundation. The Haverkamp Foundation has been great to not only our police department, but all the police departments basically around us. There would not be this many dogs out here, and I'm sure we probably wouldn't have had the dogs that we have here in Colerain without them. They're an excellent foundation, and I really appreciate everything you've done for me and our police department. We wouldn't be here without you guys, so thank you very much. That's, I think, all I got to say.
He truly looks at you with love and admiration,
It's
so
really hard
you've got a
that we're
special
retiring.
bond, you can tell.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's tough leaving at home. Every day I get ready to work, he's
ready
to go.
to get back to work.
So,
Awesome job.
thank you guys.
Okay, and thank you, the Haverkamp.
Thank you.
Was that Putin?
Yeah.
I appreciate He's wound for sound. Well, we're also, as Brian said, we're very blessed to have the Haverkamps here with us tonight. I asked Nancy if she'd like to come up and talk about the program and the foundation, so if you mind.
Thank you. We're really honored to be able to help Colerain. We were citizens of Colerain for probably more than 40 years. We still have family in Colerain. So it means a lot to us to be able to support the community that has meant so much to us. As you probably know, the foundation is in memory of our son Matt, who is a canine officer. We're in our 20th year. We funded over 1.2 million, like 1,250,000 dogs, vests, other equipment. We're all volunteer, and we could not be this successful without the support of all of our communities and you folks. So thank you so much for your continued support. It is truly our honor to be able to support law enforcement with their canines.
How wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much.
We're doing a quick change here. Brian's actually going outside to get his new partner to introduce him. As Brian said, the CPA has been a huge cheerleader and a big supporter of the program. So we also wanted to do two things tonight. We wanted to introduce the dog the same night that we were actually going to have our second presentation and have some of our CPA members here out of respect for them and what they've meant to our community.
Absolutely.
And to the program. So here he comes with Tiko, so he'll be in shortly. I'll let Brian have the mic again to talk about Tiko.
That's hard. Tiko. When you're, that's hard.
See, a much smaller dog.
Yes.
He doesn't really lack on energy either.
And fiance, that's what you got to live with now.
Wow.
Oh.
Hi,
Oh,
Tiko.
look at you. Look at you, big guy.
Hi, buddy.
Hey.
Matt, you got a basket of stuff for him too, don't you, Matt?
Actually, I did check to give him a welcome hero present, but his eating is limited, so, yeah. till he gets trained, is what I was told.
Yeah, they're on limited diets, and we don't give them a lot of treats and other stuff like that. So
So Teo gets treats now?
yeah, Teo gets treats now.
In front of this one?
I was gone for 3 months. Teo got a little big, so we had to cut him back a little bit.
So I didn't leave him out. I did check, but he,
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
cute. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you see? He's a lawyer. Get him, right?
If Teo was like the thunder, Tiko's the lightning. He's
Okay.
Teo brought the thunder, and I mean Tiko's fast and quick, and
Looks like
he
it.
brings it. So he's very happy to be out here and ready to work. We already had like 8 or 9 deployments in our first few weeks here, so I think we're gonna have a long, good career here.
Awesome.
All right.
Like James Brooks
Besides-
and Nicky Woods.
Besides arrest and patrols and things that he assists you with, is that dog capable of any type of search operation at all?
Like search and rescue.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd still do like tracking for like missing people. We would just kind of change some of the, how we do that. We'd shorten up on our leash and treat that. We don't want to bite them at the end of that.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, we would avoid that, but typically we don't respond for like search and rescue.
Sure.
Stuff.
Well, great. Thank you for all the time you're investing in the dogs.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Tiko.
Hi, Tiko. We'll give everybody a couple minutes if they don't want to stay, if you want to. Apparently, the dogs draw more of a crowd than we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all you guys do.
Oh, go, bye-bye.
All right, board, we can move on with our second presentation. Tonight, this also, it's fun to be able to talk about the wins that we have. And with the Citizens Police Academy, it's pretty staggering the number of hours and volunteer work that the folks behind me have committed to us as a police department. So helping me tonight is going to be Lieutenant Jamie Penley and Administrative Assistant Nancy. You got to come up, Nancy, sorry. Nancy Spears. Nancy's here to help keep this a little bit organized. All right, so we're going to go through and talk about some of the volunteers and some of the hours that have been committed in the work that they have done. So we've got multiple categories here. The first category is 24 hours of volunteer work. Lieutenant Penley, you want to go through your list there?
Okay.
I told you we get feedback.
Is this better? Okay. First being 25 hours, Kim Mers. Unfortunately, he could not be with us, but Mike Evangelo.
Brenda?
Oh.
Brenda, will you accept it on Mike's behalf? Miss Donna Hohenstadt. Do this. The last two are not here. With 50 hours of service, Miss Lois Bates. Miss Ross Swigert. Miss Louise Pitcher. Miss Shelley Myers. Mr. Carl Hauser. Miss Ellen Westfall. We only have two of the last ones.
So looking at we have two more awards here, and these are awards that are considered the presidential awards. The first category is the Bronze Presidential Award. And we have tonight Kevin Richards with 155 hours.
Wow.
Kev?
Kev, you received this, and you also received a pin. Be worn on your CPA. Okay? Thank you so much.
All right, we have Brenda Lee Evangelo with 244 hours.
Wow, Brenda, awesome. So Mike doesn't even hold a candle to you, Brenda, does he? No, jeez. Thank you, Brenda.
All right, and Miss Connie Goff with 217 hours. Appreciate you.
Good going, Connie.
And our last award tonight is a Presidential Gold Award. The individual was not able to make it tonight, Marion Whiteman. Marion had 995 hours.
Wow, fantastic, Marianne. I want to personally thank all of you. Whenever there is a event at Colerain, it's good to see the familiar faces over and over again. You are very generous in all your help with the other academy graduates. You just guys are just true blue, and you deserve the applause. Thank you for everything you do.
I'd
I'd
like,
to take the opportunity just to give one more point here for you. The total CPA volunteer hours for 2024, 2,591.75 hours of
Phenomenal,
service.
just so phenomenal. Thank you, thank you.
And Helen says she wants a photo with everybody up here.
Oh, okay.
Are you okay with that?
Thumbs up.
Everyone that received an award, if you can come up, please.
We can do standing back. Yes, we can do that. Unless you want me up in front and center. It's not about me. Yay, Carl.
All right, on the count of three. 1, 2.
Up, we got somebody.
If this phone will work. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank all of you.
Notice how Nancy ran away when it showed up.
Thank you, board.
Again, thank you for all the folks that dedicated their time to that and all the volunteer hours. And I also want to point out thank you to Chief and Lieutenant Penley. You can tell it's more than just a class; it's a family. You can tell in the interactions from the folks that have spent time with the officers, and I certainly appreciate that. It's part of what we are in Colerain. So thank you for everything you all have done. Thank you.
I didn't know if anybody wants to leave. You're more than welcome to leave. We'll give you a minute. Thanks for all coming tonight.
Enjoy this beautiful evening.
Hey, Connie. Oh. Condolences. Oh. Okay, now we've come up to citizens' address. If anybody has filled one of these out and hasn't sent it in, is now's the time? Okay, I saw a couple of people with,
Oh, hello, Bob. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Me too.
no more. I just saw a couple. Oh, don't sit down, Bob. You can come up, Robert.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bob Stevie. I'm a resident of Chapel Heights Lane, and I'd like to have some look at our street. The actual physical street seems to be disintegrating rapidly, and it's a fairly nice group of houses on that particular street, and I would like to see if some repairs can't be done. Other than just patchwork, I think it's at the point where it needs to be replaced. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Carrie Davis.
Welcome back.
I wanted to bring to your attention that several residents contacted me about the condition of Clippard Park on the weekends, and they seem to unanimously agree that it's the parties are not cleaning up after themselves and leaving a mess for everybody on Sunday who comes with their families. And one of those residents I thought had a really great suggestion, and he thought that you guys should charge a cleaning deposit, and that when they leave their site, they should take a picture, several pictures, to show that they did clean up their mess. And if they do not do so, then you guys get to keep the deposit or pay somebody, or maybe even pay one of the nonprofits in Colerain to go clean it up, or something like that. But I thought his ideas were really good, so I wanted to share that with you. And I was curious if we had any weekend staff, if anybody was even on duty, that would be able to go to the parks after they are used for the day and document the condition for you. I was not able to get here in time for the public hearing, so I'm going to share some of my thoughts on that. One of the things that concerned me with your tax stuff is we have $3 million, according to these documents, and if I'm understanding them correctly, and our general fund and our police fund is short 2-point-something million. I frankly do not understand why we are allowing our police department to operate on a shoestring budget if we actually have the money to pay them. And I would venture to say that with the $16 million at the end of the tax year that year left over, that it's kind of inexcusable to be expecting our police to work on a shoestring budget. and that we don't have a revenue problem, that this is a spending problem, and I don't know what you guys are spending this money on that is a higher priority than our police department. I also wanted to point out something obvious in the tax levy documents, that we have $3.4 million locked up in TIF money that we cannot access. And TIFs, while they have some great advantages, they're actually hurting us as far as our daily operating needs, because all that money that's coming in has to go into neighborhoods that are brand new with brand new owners and very low needs. And so those residents are not really contributing one single dime to our policing, our fire, anything. And all the money they contribute goes into their own neighborhood. And this will create a real disparity in the quality of our neighborhoods between those like mine that have been here since the 1950s and those that were are just made this year, because they're getting targeted funding, and I'm having to pay all the other residents in the older homes and subdivisions that aren't in a TIF. We are paying their way, because that money only gets to go to them. So there was one other thing. That issue with the mountain in the back of that dude's yard. I hope you all saw those pictures. And I would like it if somebody could explain to me what's going on with Joseph and Pool Road. I can't get any information on what's really going on and if that's being settled. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to administrative reports.
Thank you, Board. If you bear with me while I turn on the projector, we'll invite Chief Alan Walls to the dais for the first administrative report.
Chief, if you got a Dalmatian, we have a lot more people here for you.
Sorry, no Dalmatians. Although this morning they were trying to get me to adopt a pet of a
Fred.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, Fred.
Fred, yes. Well, good evening. Tonight for the administrative report, I have to apologize for not having all the data done for the EMS dashboard. Jennifer's been very busy working on another important matter as well as interviews for the upcoming recruit class. In respect to that other important matter then with EMS, so we were just notified by the American Heart Association that we have received the Mission Lifeline Gold status, representing the highest level of achievement in pre-hospital STEMI care or heart attacks. Confirms that we consistently meet or exceed the AHA's national standards for treating heart attack patients in the field. In addition, we are notified that we had received the Stroke Honor Roll, recognizing EMS agencies that provide exceptional stroke care by meeting or exceeding rigorous benchmarks for pre-hospital care recognition, treatment, and data collection. So what that means is it's a tribute to the consummate professionalism that our firefighter, EMTs, and paramedics deliver every day in respect to STEMI and stroke care. The 4 pillars there are ongoing excellence in training and education, consistent high-quality care delivered in the field, a strong commitment to data-driven quality improvement, and a robust network of support from our healthcare partners, our community, and our local leadership. So congratulations to those out there delivering that care. It truly shows the level that they provide. In respect to some data here, fire incidents for the month of May, there were 147. In the Pleasant Run EMS contract area, we made 30 responses. In the West College Hill Golfway EMS contract area, there were 2 responses. We had 2 significant fires, 3700 block of Susana Drive with a $2,000 loss, and 2600 block of Royal Glen with a $66,000 loss. Reported fire loss for the month was $66,010. Property value saved, though, was $259,020, and we have a 79.48% save rate for 2025. And that is my report, unless there's any questions.
And just another comment, this Saturday is PWC Give Back Day in the township. We've got 2 days for that this year. The first is intended for those with what we call skilled abilities, skilled labor. And so if folks are interested in participating and helping their neighbors, that event is going to kick off at 7:30 at the community center. And so there are going to be several sites throughout the community, and there's more information online at PWC's website.
That's the AM.
That is 7:30 a.m. That is correct. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
next administrative report will be delivered by Chief Ed Cordy.
For the month of May, the police department responded to 3,910 calls for service, which is an average of 126 per day. We conducted 262 traffic stops, handled 160 auto accidents, which is a pretty significant increase than normal, made 104 arrests, and responded to 41 animal complaints. For the month, we had 7 OVI arrests and 304 citations. One use of force, which was an OC deployment. We opened 1 internal investigation and had 2 vehicle pursuits. No rhyme or reason, the busiest day of the week was Thursday, followed by Friday, with the busiest hours as usual from 6 a.m. to midnight, but for the first time, it wasn't 4 p.m. being the busiest hour, it was actually 7. Impact stats for the month, they had 17 targeted traffic stops, handled 13 felony charges, 15 misdemeanor charges, seized 2 grams of fentanyl, 4.5 grams of cocaine, 2 firearms, towed 2 vehicles, recovered a stolen vehicle, had 6 canine deployments, and conducted 250 hours of investigations based on tips while executing 4 targeted search warrants. Update on our staffing. We currently have 58 officers, with our 2 police officers that are recruits just finished the police academy last week, and they're waiting to take their final tests. We still have 2 vacancies. An update on Flock. We have 1 camera that has been installed. The other are planned to be installed in the next 10 days. We've already had now 2 successes in the first week. We had one just this afternoon where it was a theft out of Meyer. Individual was a felony theft. They went southbound on Colerain. Our officers actually located the vehicle, attempted to stop. The vehicle fled from officers passing cars directly in front of the police department. We were able to go back to the camera and grab the license plate. Otherwise, we would not have had that tip to be able to, either one of the investigations of those crimes we would not have had without that camera there at the corner. So it's already working. It's already doing great work for what we need. Really excited to see what's happening. If we have 1 camera and 2 successes in less than a week, we're doing good. Last week, last Tuesday actually, we conducted a community meeting at Southland Missionary Baptist Church. We had roughly 50 or so people in attendance. The conversation started with a presentation, which was the activity-based conversation, or the presentation that I delivered here in May. We moved to submitted questions from the crowd, which was moderated by Township resident David Denny, and finally opened up to general conversation with an open mic. While parties did not always agree, I believe it was incredibly beneficial for everyone in attendance to speak their mind, to allow me to provide factual information as it relates to the police department. I believe, again, I think, in my opinion, it was a success. That's my report. Is there any questions or comments for me?
No, Chief, I just wanted to thank you. I was able to attend the one at Southland Baptist, and there was an incredible amount of work that went into the presentation, and I realize that it continues to evolve, and thank you so much for giving folks the opportunity to meet with you one-on-one and as a group and hear their concerns. A couple things struck me is just some of the information going out is check it, because if you go to the source, you find out the real story, and we heard a lot of things that were just wholly inaccurate. And if I had thought the same thing that some of these folks had thought, I wouldn't vote yes for a levy. And once that information gets out, I think it's clear that you're being a very good steward of taxpayer dollars. And in fact, the levy that was 5 years, how long have you been operating under?
That was 2014, so we're in our 11th year.
11th year. In a time when government gets hit with a lot of attacks that they spend too much money, you've taken a levy that's 5 years and you've spread it out over 11, and that's to really be commended. And Chief Denny as well during his reign. I think that's significant to note, and folks ought to consider that. I'm not telling you how to vote or what to vote, but folks ought to consider that when you're making a possible vote. Is that do you punish the police for being fiscally sound, or do you give them an extension because they have been fiscally sound?
You did a wonderful job, and so did you. I got to compliment Mr. Wetbach, too. And I think there was a lot of positivity. Of course, we had a lot of our Citizen Police Academy graduates there showing their support once again for it. I think there was a few negative comments, but overall it was very positive. I think the feeling was that we need our own police force. We need more police. And you guys are doing an exceptional job. Your stats speak for itself. So
Thank you.
And thank you for that event, and I think it would probably help to do a more towards the west part of the township and get other citizens engaged.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Board.
before I want to say, Bruce's wife just came in. We just want to give our condolences. Bruce you missed some meditation, but we all enjoyed Bruce's insight, his intelligence, and his opinion on lots of subjects. He was a master of a lot of things. So I've only known him for these 3.5 years, but I know he's been here a long time. So I just wanted to give you my heartfelt sympathy. Thank you.
And
Go ahead.
I actually know Bruce from 3 or 4 different places in life, and my deep sympathy on your loss. He was quite a character, and always you never really had to second guess what he was thinking, and I truly did enjoy him and valued the friendship, and so sad for you and your family.
And I'll just add to that, there's many evenings after a meeting that I was out in that parking lot with Bruce, and you're probably wondering where he's at, and we're chatting away about issues. Bruce was a computer before there were computers. Mm-hmm. He was so analytical on everything, and it was always impressive to me how he took emotion out of the questions and just was all about data. And until the mountain lion or whatever it was, it went on your land, and then emotion came in it because he said, "I'm going to take care of this if somebody doesn't." So I have many fond stories, and I thank you so much for coming out today and for sharing them with us all these years.
Thank you.
All right, next presentation will be delivered by Assistant Administrator Mays.
Welcome.
Thank you, Board. All right, we've got a few numbers for the Board to share about our visitors from our parks from this past month. Heritage Park, we had 3,117 vehicles come through our park. In Colerain Park, we had 3,768 vehicles come through. And the number one leader of all the parks is Clippard Park with 4,644 vehicles that came through. So as you can see, we're ramping up with summer months starting and it being warmer. Clippard Park does have a spray ground versus the other two. So I believe that's creating our numbers to go a little bit higher, although the park didn't open till the end of May. I'm guessing those numbers will go up higher next month. Trash and litter for the year right now, we're sitting at 913 bags.
Can we consider a garbage deposit? Like one of the residents just said, I'd like that idea. I don't know if we do that.
So that, yeah, having experienced with situations like that, the issue comes in that we don't monitor who actually is in the shelter. Okay. I could reserve it for a morning birthday party from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then leave. And then the park, while it's still open till dusk, someone else could come in there because it's first come, first serve after that, and then have their own party. We have no way of knowing who actually is in that park using that shelter, creating the mess.
I know that she brought up taking a picture after they left. I didn't know if it's something we can consider.
Yeah, I've tried that before in my past.
I just wanted to.
Some other things to keep in mind from a staffing and operational perspective is we do have a crew of parks employees that goes out early in the morning and they clean and they prep the shelters from the night before and also put up the reservation signs for anybody that has it reserved that day. While Clippard Park is reserved pretty much every day of the weekend, not necessarily year-round, but through all the hot months, we do have shelters that also aren't reserved, and folks just try to do first-come, first-serve at those. And so certainly we do charge a fee. We charge, I can't remember the number, 140?
Yeah,
for
for
residents, $225 for non-residents, and so we do charge a fee to cover those hours and that cleaning that we do. And when there is something where it's clear, we do follow up with those individuals. Sometimes they get put on lists where they're just frankly not allowed to rent our parks and our park spaces in the future also. So yeah, we can consider some of these things. Enforcement is always going to be the issue though.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd like to figure out a way that the people that have done the harm pay the fee instead of pay. I know it's incremental when you talk about 60,000 people in a township, give or take, but if you do the damage, you should have to.
I guess I've been up to the park a lot, and during the day, especially since the spray park, they have a lot of daycares that come, and I know the maybe 3 or 4 people for the amount of kids they have. I'm always overwhelmed by how they can take care of all that, but there is a lot of, because kids bite things and lay it on the ground and they litter, and so those people there aren't doing a diligent job. So I understand the complaint when somebody does rent the shelter that you don't know who it is.
Right, yeah.
So I do get that.
We definitely want to monitor if we, in situations that we can, but sometimes there's situations where.
Right, you can't be
If you
there.
rent it in the morning and then they're gone, we can't.
Right, I get it.
We don't want to foot the bill to the.
Wrong
morning
person,
people
right.
that reserved
Right.
it, and it's so tough. So, but we'll monitor it.
Thank
and
you.
Continue that.
One other item of note, this weekend at Dravo Park, there's going to be a cricket tournament going on. So Saturday and Sunday, all day. So if you're a fan of cricket or want to learn more about the sport, I know they'd be happy to see whomever wants to come out and learn and watch. And I believe they bring in players from all over the Midwest for these tournaments. So that's a big deal. It's slated to start sometime between 8 and 9 a.m. on both days, and it's just they keep playing until the tournament's done. Some of these games go on for a long time, but I think they try to cut them off after 2 hours. So.
No, we don't anticipate a problem with the crickets and the cicadas, do we?
That's good.
Thank you, Board.
Thanks, Tiffany.
All right, next up is David Miller from the Development Department.
Welcome, sir.
Oh, more color. I love your handouts, yes. I got my glasses. Oh, I don't even need them, do I? Did we
Thank
run
you,
out of
Mr.
little
Miller.
paper? Yeah.
As Tiffany said, warm weather brings more folks out, and so we're clearly ramping up the zoning certificate applications. So for the month, we had 75 permits that were requested. And so as we walk through all of those one at a time, it's interesting to just note that, at least interesting to me, that there is so often nuances for one after another, that it just takes time to grind through and figure out how do you process this appropriately according to the zoning resolution. And so the planning and zoning staff, very tedious and attentive to the details and wanting to do it right, while at the same time wanting to try to help the applicant and the resident figure out a path forward. And so we want them to be able to do to their house or their business what they want to do. And so that's just customer service we're trying to provide. And I'm pleased to say I think we do a good job at that. So we have 9 new single-family homes that were applied for. So that'll be 9 coming up. Solar tech projects, we had 7 of those. Our commercial applications, we had 11. And then rounding that off in the residential would be 65 applications. We had 2 cases in Board of Zoning Appeals and 2 in the Zoning Commission. So again, busy. This next month is going to be the same. I know that there's just a lot of activity going on, certainly in the commercial building as well. And so we're happy to report that it's robust. And if you watch the news, we were probably made some of that today. So I'll just leave it there. Any questions?
Well, I did want to highlight just sort of the the vast array of development that's going on. So I think over the past month, there were 3 different ribbon cuttings that come to mind. Redwood, so that's the apartment community off of Pippin at the Lake Gloria site. Walmart did a full refresh of their building as well, and then Dunkin' just had a ribbon cutting today as well. So development and opportunity all across the township, whether it's big box retail all the way down to the small convenience store, as well as housing on top of that. So lots of activity going on throughout the community.
Weiler Kia just continues to make progress, and they're going to be closing in soon, I think. We speak of Walmart and Dunkin' doing refresh. Target is now has now applied, and so they're going to be doing a refresh on their building and doing some facade work. So it'll look good as well.
Congratulations on today, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you. I was at jury duty.
Oh, it was fun.
No, jury duty wasn't fun.
No, today was fun. No.
So for administration's report, I wanted to start off by just saying how much I know Bruce is going to be missed. I know he and I had a lot of conversations over the years, and certainly his insight and advice was appreciated, and so just wanted to share that with you as well. Something that also is exciting for the community, our Joseph Road Sidewalk project is complete. So I can't tell you just how thrilled I am that we are where we are with that. That's been well over a decade in the making. We're going to be celebrating that sometime soon, so I know Tiffany and Helen are working on a way for us to celebrate that with the community, but that is really a neat and great experience. At the end of the day, it's going to open up the park to more opportunities, as well as help keep more kids off the streets so that they're not at risk on their way to and from school. I did, to some of the comments raised earlier, I did look at our 5-year road plan. Chapel Heights is on the 5-year road plan. I did not have the specific year, so sometime by 2029, it should be repaved if we keep going according to schedule. We talked about Clippard Park. And then, maybe given some of the comments that we heard at the police open forum, as well as some of the comments tonight, there could be some value in us revisiting and doing another educational presentation on TIFs. I know there's a lot of it's a complicated subject, and so sometimes some of the information gets missed, or it gets lost, or it gets translated in ways that are, not always the easiest for the day-to-day citizen. For example, at the presentation that we had at Southland Baptist, there was a resident who claimed that TIFs meant we were waiving property taxes for
$40 million.
Yeah, for anybody that was in a TIF, and that isn't correct. But if you don't have the time or have had a background and understanding in it, certainly every opportunity we can to educate, I would appreciate. So I'll look to add that to a future agenda as well. If there are other questions, I'm happy to answer those. But otherwise, that will conclude the administrative reports.
Actually, Mr. Weckbeck, maybe you could answer a couple other citizen address comments. The general fund.
Yeah, so that's the fund balance. That's not necessarily the surplus from spending and revenues on any one given year. So if we were to, in the model proposed, take every dollar in the general fund and use that to offset the one-time, one-year issue in the police department, we'd be left with essentially no reserve. So if we had any sort of economic shock, we would be in a state of fiscal emergency. Our board-adopted policy says that we should maintain 1 year's worth of general fund reserve. $3 million is about 50% of general fund reserve, so we're not even at our board-adopted policy. And we've seen where the state has made changes that have impacted us, and we've had to be nimble, and that's where having a reserve is extremely important. One of the items which was discussed at the last state legislature was increasing the local contributions to public safety as well as non-public safety retirement. If that were to have occurred or would occur in the future, I can assure you that would be the majority of those dollars that we have left in that fund just for that one issue. It's not, you could have all kinds of other things that could happen, whether it's natural disasters or
And that's barely
shocks.
1 month's worth of operating.
Yeah, so $3 million is about 6 months worth for us, and so that's the difficulty is you want to make sure that you've got up to a year.
For general fund, not
Yes,
for the
general
other
fund.
funds.
That's
But
correct.
If you look at our annual budget, that is not that much to hold back in reserve.
That's correct. And, yep, so I hope that answers the question.
And I know you said that you were going to do a TIF presentation again, but perhaps you could speak about the idea that claim that TIF money then gets redistributed away from the township in general.
Yeah, so an example around TIFs that is recent history for us is the Town Center TIF, the Stone Creek TIF, sorry. So the Stone Creek TIF ended in, I believe, 2018. It was one that, under the old TIF law, was restricted to being used in that development. But when the TIF ended, those dollars then were eligible to be transferred into the general fund to be used on any purpose. So in 2018, we used those dollars to purchase police, fire, and public services vehicles and equipment. So there are a couple of these TIFs where the dollars are limited in how they can be used, primarily the residential TIFs. We've taken sort of not a direct policy position, but you all have discussed looking at cape sealing in those areas to extend the life of those streets. So that is something that we've talked about. But the majority of those dollars, if they're left at the end of the day, can then be utilized for general fund purposes. However, for those TIFs in particular, we're looking at 30 years out. Now, the remainder of the other TIFs, so the non-residential TIFs, we can utilize on different items that service that district. So, for example, this year, police cruisers are being purchased out of some of the TIFs because our police cruisers are going to be servicing those areas in particular.
So when a commercial property pays a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes, that was money bound for which government organization, which government unit?
About 20 to 30 different government units, or not the pilot, sorry. The original property tax was everything under Hamilton County. Pilot payment comes to us. We cut a piece to the school district, so full pilot payment comes to the township. Piece goes to the schools, about 50%. Remainder stays with the township.
So in fact, when you do the math, who's losing revenue here?
It's primarily Hamilton County as well as the other voted property tax levy agencies such as the zoo and what have you.
So do people still pay Colerain taxes?
It does still come to us. Our police department generates the same revenue that it has for the past 11 years, as we highlighted earlier.
So we could really look at it as two buckets: the original property, the original tax that still did and still goes to Colerain, and this money over here, most of which may have gone to the county, but the county has said through their legislation and policy, the state of Ohio has said, look, you can keep the county money, the various county monies for, the library, MRDD, the zoo, and you can use that for extended amount of time for economic development purposes, but they have to be within the TIF district.
And you can even keep a portion of the school districts if you so choose. We've just adopted a policy of making the school district whole so they don't suffer a loss.
So every TIF actually brings more revenue in?
To the township.
Yes. Just making sure that.
Right, and for an example, the new United Dairy Farmers on Blue Rock and Springdale Connector, that's across from there. They are paying just as much, no more and no less taxes than if they were not a TIFed property, but the amount of taxes they're paying that goes to Colerain Township for a period of years, and so that's a great example of a successful TIF, and that's only in year 2, and I forget how long that one is.
That is a 30-year TIF, and if the power of technology works with me, I'd love to be able to show
And one of the
those
better examples is 4 or 5 years ago when the Fireside Hotel went away and Duke Energy built their Colerain facility, and that's in year 4 of a 30-year TIF, and that really helps out Colerain Township. They're paying just as much taxes as if they were being taxed through all the different county agencies, but Colerain Township gets a substantial part of that, and as Jeff said, we do make the school district whole on all these different issues, and so that's another example of one that's really benefited Colerain Township.
So Dan, to your point, this is the parcel owned by UDF. This is what they paid this year in property taxes. So you see the calculations based off the land and building assessments. The auditor goes through the things that they're required to pay and then comes up with a half-year payment of about $13,800 that then is split out. And in the past, all of this pie, this piece that's township, would have been extremely smaller. All these other little dollars and cents that are going to these entities are because that's what they were paying prior to the development occurring.
When that land was fallow and
When
it
that
was,
land was
was
vacant,
all
so-
weed and,
Right, so when that land was vacant, before the TIF existed, library, county general fund, for example, was getting about $18. Now, there's $13,000 coming to the township, which is based solely off of what we're collecting based off of that new development.
and that's just one building
Yep,
back
just
there.
one
Mr. Zillig's accessory building that he built for his business is also paying into the township funds. And there still is several sites over there to be developed.
Yes, and if I can just show a different example so we can see the difference here in tax distribution. This is just a different property that's outside of the tax district, and you can see how when you look at the different pieces, the biggest pie is the school district. This is what the township piece looks like. So very stark difference between a piece that's in a TIF versus a piece that is not in a TIF, and how it's split up amongst all these other entities.
So if you keep that there just for visualization purposes, that's how it's distributed now. The top left quadrant or quarter of that pie,
Yes.
nearly all of that, if that were to become a TIF district, nearly all of that revenue would come to the township.
The existing dollars would still go to the existing agency, so the 224 here for development disabilities would stay with developmental disabilities. But
Good.
if we're putting it in a TIF, that's because somebody's making an improvement. And so if the value goes up $10 million, they're going to pay $10 million more worth of taxes. And so now all that extra is going into this red piece of the pie,
Yep.
which then distorts it to make ours look much bigger.
So it confuses me sometimes because in no way does this stunt development. In fact, it's a pro-development lever that the state government came up with and that the county uses as well, and that townships like Greene and Anderson have made consistent usage of for the last 15, 20 years.
60 to 80% of their communities are in a TIF district, whereas we are less than 1%, last I had ran the numbers.
Thank you for that. I know you wanted to do a presentation later, but I wanted to answer.
No, that's fine. Now we can figure out if we need to do another formal presentation or not. Any other questions from the board? With that, I'll conclude administrative reports.
Okay, can I ask Ned to come up since he came in late with the new meeting schedule? Because I'm sure he's got wonderful things to tell us about the library.
Well, I think without violating procedures
I just wanna
here,
double-check.
we'll make a one-time exception because of the citizen address
Okay.
procedures changing with
Thank
the
you
new.
so
You're
much,
so welcome.
Trustee Ulrich. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to speak very quickly about the library. Thank you for giving me that time. The library summer reading program is in full swing, and every year I like to make a big promotion of that. I wanted to invite all the Colerain kids to come by and sign up. This year's theme is Reading on the River, which is inspired by this year's America's River Roots Festival. So whether you're enjoying the summer out in the river or in the pool or at the beach or the backyard, just keep them cool in the air conditioning. Take some time out this summer to give yourself a reading break. Research has shown that reading for 20 minutes a day offers numerous benefits for children, including improved vocabulary and language skills, enhanced cognitive development, and better academic performance. It fosters imagination and creativity, strengthens concentration and focus, and enhances emotional intelligence. It improves communication skills, boosts self-esteem and confidence, and expands a child's knowledge and understanding of the world. Additionally, reading can strengthen family bonds, something I know well from the many stories I have heard in my couple decades at the library from parents and grandparents talking about reading with their children and grandchildren, and when those children grow up, to be parents of their own, talking about their fond memories of their parents and grandparents reading to them. Not to mention the many stories I hear regularly about their grown-up children and parents now sharing books back and forth, which I think is really wonderful. The adult reading program happens over the winter, so grown-ups, sorry, no prizes for you this summer. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't give yourself the gift of reading too. Reading each day offers adults benefits, including improved mental stimulation, enhanced focus and concentration, can reduce stress, increases vocabulary and language skills, strengthens memory retention, and can lead to better sleep quality by helping your brain wind down before bed, unless you can't put your book down, in which case you may not be able to sleep as much, but that's okay. Reading offers emotional support and a sense of connection. It fosters personal growth, sparking creativity, allowing you to see the world from different perspectives, and sharpening analytical thinking. A recent study even showed that people who read at least 30 minutes each day live longer, which gives you more time to read, of course. Before I go, I would like to thank everyone in the community so very much for the outpouring of support we received recently when state public library funding was in jeopardy. I don't know if you saw that in the news. The state budget is still in progress, so we're definitely not out of the woods. But when it became clear that significant budget cuts were being considered, which would have disproportionately impacted Hamilton County's libraries, there was an outpouring of support from the community, and for that I am inspired and very grateful. And I would particularly like to thank Representative Cindy Abrams and Senator Lewis Blessing for their active and strong support for libraries, as well as you trustees who I know are lifelong patrons and support the library as well. So just want to send a thank you out to that because it was really inspiring.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Thanks
in.
so much.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank
fitting
you.
me in.
Always enjoy hearing what's going on at the library.
Thanks for coming out, and for those that you don't know, Ned has done more for this community than many people, and he is such a positive vibe of energy every time he comes here. The work you're doing is yeoman's work, but as a teacher, I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, it's easy in Colerain Township because it's a community that really uses its library and strongly supports the library. So I really appreciate that, and I've been doing it here for a long time. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we do appreciate you coming to our meetings. My wife is one of your best customers, and soon you will have a new neighbor just behind the library, which is coming right along. So
Maybe those firemen will start reading. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to the trustee reports. So whoever wants to go first.
I really have no report this evening. Everybody enjoy the summer as it goes along, and hopefully, well, we're not at the normal time. Hopefully, when the first pitch goes, the Reds go 6 straight.
I'll just make a comment. When I said it was fun today about the Sears, our own Jeff Wetbach got to do the first gash into the building, and it was really cute in his little hat and his just, you know, and I would go, at this rate, it's going to take a year to come down, but he did a good job. I'm just teasing. It was cute to see him. So it was fun to see everything that was going on, and that was about everything, and yeah, that's about it.
That's kind of a rough compliment, though.
I know, but it was cute.
Thank you, Kathy. The streets, just in response to some of the citizens' comment, the subdivision that's over behind the library, behind St. Anne's, which is Jackie's and Royal Heights and the other streets, along with Acre and Burnside, was one of our biggest one-time street rehabilitation reconstruction projects a few years ago. And I want to say that was close to $8 million, which was a matching state grant along with money from our Township Road Fund to answer that. The folks in the Citizens Police Academy, it was mentioned that combined it's 2,400 volunteer hours. That equates to more than one full-time paid officer for a year, and so don't ever marginalize what you think your volunteer hours are worth. That's really huge, and we really appreciate it. I always give out my number at these meetings, 404-3057, and I do get quite a few calls. Very recently, and I've talked to Mr. Weckbach about this, we're still working on a problem over on Chopin. Our dog that retired tonight, as I say to any of our retired employees, I think you're nuts to bark for the various boards of trustees that have come and gone, and our dog will no longer have to face a board of trustees. I would never work for an elected board. I'd like to give a little tip of the hat to our code enforcement, specifically Officer Bolt. It's Stan, who works back in code enforcement, and Officer Boyd. They do a fantastic job. And to those of you that continue to dump things on the side of the road, to be blunt, you're part of a group of knuckleheads, and I will give you an example of how light-brained some folks are. Somebody went back on Owl Creek, back off of Dry Ridge, and dumped a bunch of materials back there. I got a call about it. It got handled last Friday very well by our folks, and I went back and looked at these products. There is a sweeper vacuum, and it's got a Home Depot sticker on it. And I got to looking around, and there's 20 boxes of Pergo flooring, which is another product from there. There's the house brand of paint from Home Depot, Colerain. There is a floor installation kit. There is a table saw that you would use to cut flooring with, and and it's all barcoded. And I'm looking this and just looking into it on my own. Somebody went into Home Depot because one of these has a manufacture date of April of 25. Somebody was in there in May and purchased probably $1,000 worth of stuff, redid their floor with flooring, got rid of the carpets. They took all the carpet down there and dumped it, and all these products came from Home Depot. And I don't think it would take much to figure out who was in there and bought that. And so to those of you that are light-brained enough to think that it's a good idea to dump stuff on the side of our roads, how you could leave so much behind as a clue to where it came from and when it was purchased. I'm just asking people to quit doing that. It uses so much of our time and resources, and if you really have trouble getting rid of stuff, call the township and we'll give you some guidance on where to go with it. Please don't dump anything on our roads. And my last comment is yesterday I was over on Pippin Road and I drove up Noel, which is the east end of Sovereign, and then that connects to the older part of the subdivision, which is Sovereign, and the development back there is coming along quite nicely. It's been a little while since I was back there. There was 3 houses, and now there's pretty many. So it's coming right along. And that's all my comments. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Mr. Unger, for that stuff, if it were new, if people have that, the reuse center.
Well, no, this is all the empty boxes.
Oh, okay, gotcha, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was leftover building material.
We have a knucklehead among our citizenry here that would do that, and it's just.
More than one.
What are you thinking when you take the time to load all that stuff and drive down a road and dump it? Just, if you really have that much of an issue, just call the township. We would rather have you call us than have our folks have to go chase it down and use our time and administrative time, and just cut it out.
Or take it to Rumpke. They've got the new drop-off.
Got the new, which has been going for just over a year now, and it's been very successful, and it's a very easy place to go. It's right off of Struble Road. You don't have to go back on the landfill. You can just go right in past the scale, and it's down there on the left. And I think it's really made a huge difference this past year. So, thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to new business then.
Yes, the first few items of new business will be presented by Police Chief Ed Cordy. Few might be an understatement.
I went ahead and thanked Lieutenant Penley before walking up here. Quite a few items here. First one being item I, resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement. This resolution allows for the removal of uncontrolled vegetation and/or refuge at the following properties: 9558 Amarillo Court, 3348 Bowerwoods Drive, 3760 Brockton Drive, 2840 Burnside Drive, 8230 Clara Road, 2968 Compton Road, 2620 Cornwall Drive, 3384 Dolomar Drive, 9758 Dunraven Drive, 10028 Dunraven Drive, 7481 Eagle Creek Road, 2786 Hazelton Court, 9315 Jericho Drive, 3134 Lapland Drive, 3282 Lapland Drive, 9922 Lower Linda Drive, 9924 Lower Linda Drive, 3384 March Terrace, 6576 Newbridge Drive, 3443 Niagara Street, 9328 Pippin Road, and 9997 Pippin Road. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion to adopt the resolution to declare nuisance and order abatement at the host of properties that Chief has listed that is also in the meeting packet.
Wow.
I'll second Matt's motion, and I will comment that the 2620 Cornwall is a mess. One of the many calls I get is from the next door neighbor there, and I appreciate that you've got it on the list, which coincidentally is in alphabetical order, and we don't do any of these first, but I think that one's due for some special attention. It is a mess. There's stuff everywhere, so I'm more than happy to support this as always.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Okay, item B is a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 3561 West Kemper Road. At this address, there's 2 vehicles. First being a 1987 blue Chevrolet Caprice with no tag, and the second is a 2011 black Kia Rio with Ohio temp tag S702865. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution declaring junk motor vehicles as described by Chief on 3561 West Kemper Road.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Sorich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item C is a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 2563 Grant Avenue. At this address, there is a 2005 blue Jeep Grand Cherokee with Ohio plate GHT 8144. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we declare the vehicle at 2563 Grant Avenue as a junk motor vehicle as described.
I'll second.
Sorich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Item D is a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 2610 Sandhurst Drive. At this address, there is a 1996 red Nissan Altima with no tag. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we approve the resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 2610 Sandhurst Drive.
Second.
And I will just comment that in the agenda, the resolution is correct. It has a different number on the, it says 2563, but the resolution is correct at 2610.
It's 2610 in here and 2610 on mine.
If you look in the left column, it says 2563.
Oh, over in the left column.
But
yes,
that's
okay.
irrelevant. What we are approving is the one at 2610 because that's,
Oh.
when you open the detail, that's what's there.
Okay.
Sorich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, item E is a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 3256 Deschler Drive. At this address, there's a 2007 blue Chevrolet Tahoe with Ohio plate KCS 9258. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle, 3256 Deschler Drive, as described by Chief.
I will second Matt's motion.
Sorich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, item F is a resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle at 3261 Deschler Drive. At this address, there is a 2001 green GMC Sierra with Ohio plate JVS 9544. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
Motion to adopt resolution declaring a junk motor vehicle, 3261 Deschler Drive, as described by Chief in the meeting packet.
A second.
Sorich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, item G is a resolution declaring junk motor vehicles at 8765 Forfeit Run. There are 6 vehicles at this address.
Oh.
The first being a 2010 gray Ford Escape with no tag. Second being a 2010 blue Ford Fusion with no tag. Third, 2011 blue Chevrolet Equinox, no tag. Fourth one, 1997 gray Honda Civic, no tag. Fifth being 2012 black Dodge Journey, no tag. And the last being a 2002 white Ford Expedition with no tag. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we approve the resolution declaring the 6 vehicles at 8765 Forfeit Run Road as junk vehicles.
I'll second, and good luck getting all those out of there.
And I will comment that for those that we're talking a lot about the police department and the work they do. This is a time-consuming work, but it makes for a better community for everybody, not just the work on getting so many junk cars out that we have in the last few years, but the properties that need nuisance abatement, and that's all work that comes out of your budget, Chief, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's our police department employees doing a lot of work just to constantly try to improve the community. No other comments?
Sorich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, the next 3 items are directly from and as a result of the Code Enforcement Review Board. The first 2 items are items that are locations that are vacant and be resolved that they need to be registered with the with property assessed. So the first being item H is a resolution declaring property as a vacant registrable property at 6710 Thompson Road. Again, that's 6710 Thompson Road. The curb board declared it as vacant and resolved that it's registered, fees assessed, and recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion we approve the resolution declaring the property at 6710 Thompson Road as a vacant property as described by Chief.
I'll second.
Sorich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
The second one for the vacant property is item I, resolution declaring a property as a vacant registrable property, 7681 Livingston Road. Again, the curb board, the Code Enforcement Review Board met, discussed this property, and ask the trustees to declare this property vacant and resolve that it be registered and fees assessed. Again, that address is 7681 Livingston Road. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll second, or I'll make,
Motion, we approve the
go ahead.
motion that we declare the property as a vacant registrable property at 7681 Livingston Road.
Now I'll second.
Okay. And thanks, Herb, for all your work on this.
Absolutely.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, item J, another case from the Curb Board, resolution declaring a registrable property and ordering abatement. This is 3392 Lake Meadow Court. The Curb Board met, discussed this, and request the Board of Trustees declare this property be subject to compliance with the Colerain Township Rental Registration Program, fees assessed to the property. And again, that address is 3392 Lake Meadow Court. Recommend adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution declaring registrable properties and ordering abatement, 3392 Lake Meadow Court.
I will second Matt's motion.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Ed. The next item will be presented by Assistant Administrator Tiffany Mays.
Hello again, Board. The next item on the agenda is of Public Services, and it is a motion to issue an RFP for the sidewalk breezeway improvements and reconstruction project. The information on this item can be found on page 59. Colerain Township staff is proposing the demolition and reconstruction of the breezeway between Geraldine and Burnside Drives with a new sidewalk that is ADA accessible through funding from the Community Development Block Grant. This project was approved at the April 23rd, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting, and the contract will be awarded to the bid that meets the specific requirements for the total cost not to exceed $90,000. Staff recommendation is an adoption and approval of the motion.
I motion we approve to issue an RFP for the sidewalk breezeway improvements and reconstruction project on Geraldine, and that's between Geraldine and and Burnside. Oh, I know just where that is. Somebody, that'll be a nice improvement over there.
I'll second that.
And it looks like those bids are due June 27th.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Did you have another comment on that?
Their questions are due to me by that date.
Oh, okay.
We'll
Let me,
open those on July 2nd.
right, it's 1 o'clock on July 2nd. I see that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Thanks, Tiffany.
All right, thank you, Board. Next items will be presented by Development Director David Miller.
All right, so earlier we had public hearings on the abandoned signs, and so rolling forward on that topic, what we've done is taken a model of the procedure for disposing of and abating junk vehicles, and so we've adapted that to a degree to create a removal procedure for abandoned signage. So that's what is before you here. And so this is a resolution adopting new abandoned signage removal procedure, and recommendation is approval.
And so just to clarify on this before the motion, the way our zoning code reads, this is not a necessary step, but we felt it prudent to provide as much due process as possible, and so that's why we're bringing these items to you all, because we feel it's important for the trustees to take action.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution adopting the new abandoned signage removal procedure.
I'll second.
So is this, the funds for this, will they come out of the general fund?
You know what, we are still very early in the process.
They will. So the way that the auditor gives us back our assessments, they don't really give us a lot of detail, so it's cleaner for us to do anything that's going to result in an assessment directly out of the general fund. So right now we have all of our junk vehicles and grass cuttings, trash abatements, all that we pay for out of general fund, so this would probably fall under that as well.
So is there, and this is just non-accountant speaking here, on items like that, but maybe not that in the future, is there a way, if it comes out of the general fund for a restricted fund, if it's in that category, to pay the general fund back?
If the money is going into a restricted fund, the only way to directly move the dollars out of the restricted fund into the general fund would probably require us to get a judicial order.
Okay.
So it's very difficult. Now, in the case of the development department, it receives a subsidy from the general fund, so you could always reduce that subsidy in future years if that were the determination.
Okay, just wondering.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Next item, item B, this is a motion to issue an RFQ for demolition company to abate abandoned signage. And so this is a process similar that we've done on some other types of contracts like engineering, where we would seek an RFQ, get qualifications for different companies, and then be able to assess up front who is eligible and available to do this type of work. And then when and if the Board of Trustees declares signage abandoned and we need to follow through with that abatement process, then we would have a list of approved contractors already available to us. So this issue would be issued tomorrow, if approved, and then response deadline June 30th, and then we would begin reviewing those responses.
Then I'll motion to issue an RFQ for demolition companies to abate abandoned signage.
And I'll second Kathy's motion.
There is a schedule as well, just so you could see that timeline for when we would finally adopt this. So it's not immediate, but it will be a process if we so approve.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
All right, next two items are the signs for which we had a public hearing earlier tonight. The first one, item C, resolution declaring abandoned sign and ordering abatement, case BZA 25-3 at 9391 Pippin Road. And so in your packet, you do have two options. One, to approve the resolution declaring it a nuisance, or deny. So those options are available for you. I mentioned earlier that I did a site visit today, subsequent to all of the mails, the certified, that we have sent to them. It has been multiple years that the sign has been there. It is clearly abandoned. The business is virtually non-existent. It's basically a junkyard is what it is. It's not car sales. The lot that is owned next door to it, across the street, is active. But this is his lot that he keeps all of his junk cars on, and so the sign there is clearly a eyesore.
I motion we declare an abandoned sign and ordering abatement on the sign at 9391 Pippin Road, which is case BZA 25-3.
Second that.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Next item, D, and this is similar resolution declaring abandoned sign and ordering abatement, case BZA 25-5, 3633 Blue Rock Road. And so I just want to point out one thing on this, even the previous, but pursuant to our zoning resolution, signage that is not maintained, that's the previous one, no longer services its original purpose or remains in deteriorated, abandoned state, can be subject to this declaration. And so that's, in particular, this one, there is a building. It's not in bad condition.
It's very well maintained, actually.
It is very well maintained. It is boarded up. The business has not been existent for multiple years. And so not sure what the plan is. We have written letters, asked, tried to make appeals. The curb board has actually dealt with this address as well as a vacant building. And so the sign is there. It's not in bad condition, but it's for a business that does not exist. Mm-hmm. But though it previously did. So we will notify, if you so choose, we'll, and vote that it is abandoned, we'll notify them and give them time to do something with it on their own before we abate it.
To get it to the floor, I will motion that we approve the resolution declaring the abandoned sign and ordering abatement at 3633 Blue Rock Road, which is case BZA 25-5.
I'll second that.
And that location is the old Creamy Whip that has been there since I was a child.
We were there after almost, yeah.
Eat and Treat, the Fig
yeah.
family used to own it, various people have owned it. I believe that property has value because once he had a cell tower
Yeah.
put on the back of the property, that generates enough revenue to keep the property maintained. When that building was tagged with graffiti 2 years ago, I actually, it was a Saturday, I actually drove to the owner's house and said, hey, you need to come out and look at this, and he took care of it 2 days later. The guy has done a great job maintaining that property. I wish it was open, with the chain store across the street that sells all the ice cream. I guess that makes it difficult, but that is certainly on the register of Colerain historic places. But the sign is the sign, and it's not been used, and it's not lit up, and
It's sad to see it go. It's like-
yes, it is. And,
Yeah,
and
I was there many, many years, yeah.
I will note that it's possible that it comes back into service in the near future.
so at that time, would he have to go through the whole? Is that sign, if it was active and being used, that would obviously have been grandfathered into our zoning? But if the sign goes away, and let's say 2 years from now he decides to reopen, what is his struggle to get a new sign? What would he have to do to do that?
It would be no different than any other going concern that has to apply for a sign permit.
And that
So-
is on our next agenda.
And so it would just be a signed process. Now, again, if he opened tomorrow as an ice cream shop, the sign's not abandoned. And so we basically start the clock over. So we all know how long it's been. They've remodeled it.
It's in very nice condition.
It is, but I think there's just a.
But in fairness to anybody else, who's going through this process, it meets the definition of what you're trying to accomplish. So
Definitely does that.
I have no other comments.
Mr. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Last item in development, motion to adopt revised planning and zoning fee schedule. So it's been approximately 13 months since we last had a revision. Before that, it had been, I think, decades. And so our senior planner, David Peters, has done a thorough analysis of what we have practiced in the very recent past and come up with a few revisions that make our fee schedule, I think, more easily manageable, makes it more efficient and just, as he notes. It's an effort to modernize, streamline, and rationalize our permitting cost in alignment with current zoning practices and administrative realities. And so I wouldn't say we're increasing fees to generate revenue, but instead our process here, I think, is a very rational approach to make sure that it's fair to those that are applying and for
There's several that
everything.
have gone down.
Right.
Yes.
And we feel like that is the most just thing. One of them, I'll just point out, the food truck fee.
Right, $50.
So a few years ago, we just realized we needed some kind of food truck regulation. And we came up with a scheme that had them in one zoning district. That was very unwieldy and unworkable. And you remember, was it Big Bear?
Barbecue.
That came, Big Bear Barbecue. And so made an appeal. We expanded the districts. And so the way food trucks work today, they they really don't sit in one place. That's the way our zoning resolution right now is designed, for a food truck to park one place for a year. And that's what he did. But the reality of operating a food truck today is that they go to specific events. And so what we want to do is, again, make our process more reasonable to them, and we're reducing it from $150 to $50. And that would be your annual fee for your zoning certificate. They still have to go through health and fire and everything else that is required to have mobile food service. But this will give them the flexibility to be anywhere in the township as long as they're abiding by our zoning rules that are created for mobile food service. But that's one of the fees that we've actually reduced on. And again, it's a rational approach. And so we want to make the township more friendly to opportunities like that.
Okay. I'll motion to adopt the revised planning and zoning fee schedule.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Board. The next item will be presented by Assistant Administrator Jeff McElravy.
Good evening, Board.
Evening.
So the next item is on page 180 in your staff packet. It is the beginning of a process for levying a tax exceeding the 10 mil limitation for the police department. We've been having a number of conversations about the long-term needs of the police department and identifying a source that is sustainable over time. And the adoption of this resolution would kick off that process. So staff recommendation is adoption of the resolution.
Madam Chair, I'd like to motion that at this point we send down three numbers, 2 mils, 2.3 mils, 2.9 mils, down to the auditor, get the numbers from the county, and then once we have the real numbers, then we can talk about where we are on each individual one. So I recommend that we unanimously recommend 2, 2.3, and 2.9. I think that the importance of this levy, it's probably the most responsible thing we can do, where we're actually not going to be talking about hypothetical numbers, but real numbers once they're back from the county.
A distinction there on 5-year versus continuous.
And a 5-year levy.
And so I think functionally we'll have to do those as separate motions. So if the board would like to entertain that, I would recommend, if we're going to go down this pathway, that the first motion be a resolution certifying a rate of 2 mils for a 5-year period, and then we'll do the same thing for the next
So I
two.
withdraw the previous motion. I motion that we send down to the auditor a 2 mil 5-year levy in order to get it certified, and then we'll obviously talk about these when we get them back. What's the time period on that? The end of the month?
It varies. In the past, we have been able to get it on for the next board meeting, but if the auditor needs extra time, say everybody in the county is doing a levy, it may not be until the first meeting of July, so we wanted to build in a cushion.
Okay, and the 2 mils, I think we, I learned last time Mr. Unger supported that, and that may have made the difference. So he may have been a man ahead of his time. So I'm going to recommend first the 2, a motion for the 2, and then I'll motion for the other 2 after that.
I'll second Matt's motion to get it open for discussion. And one of the questions you asked, Jeff, is what would a 2 mil levy, which we really appreciate folks that pay their property taxes, and I know those bills are due next week. I paid mine last week the day it showed up in the mail. Mine was actually $31 less than it was 6 months ago, but I believe that is because the stadium rebate, the sales tax rebate was which showed up on that. It's still a lot, and I appreciate the fact that people have difficulty paying these To go at this with the lowest amount possible would leave a $530,000 estimated gap. And you asked, where would that come from? Well, I realize we do carry some small balance in the general fund, which we don't want to spend ourselves down to nothing. I would hope that for maybe just the first or second year, we would be able to cover that difference out of that fund. And then maybe by year 3, the whole business up the street with the Sears, maybe there'll be something going on that site that would help us generate additional funds. I realize it's going to take a couple years to get that going starting today, but that's kind of where I'm at on it. You know, only and when the other two trustees, here we are, but when that vote happened 2 years ago, the idea is to get some economic development going and let that rising tide lift all boats. So that's my idea, that the first 2 years we would find money somewhere else in the budget, maybe in the general fund, and then hopefully by year 3, the property up the street would be generating some tax dollars for us, and it should be substantial. It's a large property, and I'm sure Kathy and Matt are looking for a big investment there. So that's where I'm at on the 2 mills.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the question because I think it's important, and you know, I understand Mr. Unger's need to find where the remaining is coming from, but let's know what we know first, because this is a pretty important levy. So I'm going to call the question on the 2 point, unless Ms. Ulrich, you want to add?
I have nothing to add on that one.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. Mr. Chair, I'm going to now motion to send down to the auditor a 5-year levy number at 2.3 mils, and get the numbers from the county. And again, I kind of think the important thing is that we talk about it when we get the actual real numbers. That last time, I mean, we have guesses as what they might be, but you know, last time those, you know, it was a little bit different. So at this point, I'll motion to put the 2.3 mils down to the auditor.
And I will second Matt's motion so we can find out the answer to that question.
And the 2.3 is what we would need just to keep the existing police force that we have.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. Now, finally, I want to motion that we send down to the county a 2.9 mil levy, a 5-year levy. And again, so that we get the numbers back from the auditor and we know what we're talking about. And, you know, I think, you know, people are going to be at various places in this, and that's a discussion that we can have when we get the numbers back, because I think it's certainly important to understand what will be the cost and benefits of each of these.
And the 2.9, Ed, if you could correct me on this, that wouldn't get us, sorry, a second. I second. This wouldn't get us up to the 69 that would be what we need for our township. It would get us to approximately 65 police officers.
67.
It would be 7 additional, so about 66 is the number as I
66,
have
okay.
it factored.
So it would still get us almost to where we should be at the 2.9.
And I will support finding out the answer to that question, while at the same time, thank you for all 3 of the motions, Matt, because we do have to consider that the last effort at this fell short, and we certainly are taking into account people's ability to pay. I realize life is a very expensive thing, so I'm fine finding out those 3 answers.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
And just for point of record for everyone, I did print 3 copies of this to our printer, so after Jeff finishes his next agenda item, he'll bring those in so that we can fill all that out and get all that signed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Trustee Ulrich and Trustee Unger.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is on page 189 in your board packet. This is a resolution following up on a request that Mr. Wallert made at the last board meeting. He is interested in using a substantial portion of the discretionary funds that were appropriated for each of the trustees. For his, each trustee was given a discretionary budget of $100,000 to use on priorities that weren't addressed elsewhere in the budget. And Mr. Wallet wants to direct $80,000 of his allocation to the police department, and this resolution would formalize that transfer. Staff recommendation is adoption of the resolution.
I'll motion to adopt the resolution.
And I will gladly second that.
And again, this is, I mean, this isn't even a Band-Aid, but I hope it's an expression of the importance that I feel for our department and the job that they're doing, and the fact that they put themselves on the line every day. And it's just, the police that we have here is an incredible department, from leadership on down. And, you know, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep them together and move things forward. And this is just, it doesn't help, but it's not going to hurt either. And that's for next year, right? Yeah. So I motion, is there
I'll
a second?
second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes,
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, and thank you both for supporting that for me.
love it, thank you.
Thank you, Board. The next several items will be presented by Assistant Administrator Mays. Most exciting time of the year for employees. Healthcare renewal.
Indeed. Okay. Board, before I get into those, the requests for motions, we did work with our healthcare insurance broker, McGowan Braybender, and we really enjoy that relationship with them. They're very upfront and honest with us with you know, what we need and where our gaps are. So all this to say that these next few motions, I'll outline that in this next motion here and then continue on from there. So the next item on the agenda is a motion to set rates for employee health care plans and packages. Information can be found on page 193 of your packet. When McGowan Braybender went out to solicit quotes for renewals, it was a semi-competitive market. Of the many proposals we received from competing vendors, the following recommendations are being made. For Vision, they're renewing, the request is to renew with Anthem, which will decrease by 3.2% and lock in a 4-year rate. So that's very appetizing for us. Dental, we are currently with Ameritas, and they were not competitive at all for a renewal, which was an increase of 20% from what we are currently paying now. Anthem offered a more competitive rate with only a 12% rate increase versus a 20%. And also moving with Anthem would lower our renewal rate for our medical plan because we would be combining those plans together. So this would create a $2,400 per year savings. Any questions so far? Okay, our medical, we would be renewing with Anthem for a rate increase of 4.1%. We've not seen an increase in 3 years. So the last increase we had was a 4.1% increase. So we're kind of still trending in that same direction. And our stop loss insurance we currently have with HCC. This is increasing, we are increasing our stop loss from $100,000 to $110,000 of coverage. We have a few employees that are reaching that threshold. So with us increasing that, we're actually saving $43,000 per year on that. Yeah, so it sounds contradictory.
There's like a push and pull with rates. So with stop loss, that's basically once you hit $100,000, we stop paying the bill for those employees, and the stop loss carrier pays those bills. So there's a bit of a math and science to this to get the right rate. So sometimes increasing your stop loss rate actually gives you a savings because you're going to pay up to $10,000 more on maybe those 2 or 3 employees, but they're not charging you nearly as much in the premium.
And I'd also like to add, if with stop loss also comes a term called laser. So when the stop loss insurance comes with a laser, that's actually a bad thing because it limits that individual who is meeting that. It limits their ability to get treatment that they need. So this comes with no laser at all. So they pay for the extra, we don't have a laser, and we can stay on the current plan that we have. So finally, staff recommendation is an adoption and approval of the motion.
Okay, I will motion to set rates for employee health care plans and packages.
I will second Kathy's motion.
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Just as a little more confidence in our trending, we are trending very well with our self-funded program. We actually, our last report that we received from McGowan Brabender, we are actually, our total plan cost has been lowered by $959. So we're trending very well. We're utilizing at a very good rate. Nothing looks outrageously overboard. So it's a good, we're in a good space right now.
So we should do the rest of the motions, D, E, and F?
Yes, yep. So next is a motion authorizing the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with HCC for employee stop-loss insurance benefits. As previously mentioned, this is it results in an 8% rate cap with no new laser, and it does increase our threshold to $110,000. Staff recommendation is an adoption and approval of the motion.
I motion that we authorize the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with HCC for employee stop-loss insurance benefits.
Second that.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Board. The next motion is to authorize the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with Anthem for health insurance for the 2025-2026 plan year. As mentioned previously, the staff recommendation is a renewal with Anthem as the third-party administrator for medical, vision, and dental. By selecting this package, we will be able to keep the plan rates low and with only a 4.1% increase. Staff recommendation is an adoption and approval of the motion.
A motion that we authorize the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with Anthem for health insurance for the 2025-2026 plan year.
I'll second that.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, the next motion is a motion to authorize the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with the Standard for Life, Long-Term Disability, and Voluntary Life and Accidental Death and Dismemberment Insurance. As mentioned previously before, renewing this plan will create a decrease in 12.5% savings. Staff recommendation is an adoption and approval of the motion.
A motion that we authorize the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with the Standard for Life, Long-Term Disability, and Voluntary Life and Accidental Death and Disability Insurance.
I'll second.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. There is no old business. For consent items, there are two. A contract that I executed with the AARP. This is a grant for fall prevention. They're giving us $2,500. And then a donation acceptance in the Department of Fire and EMS from Patty Even at $100 in the form of Kroger gift cards. And I would recommend adoption of the consent agenda.
I motion that we adopt the consent agenda as described.
I'll second that.
And thank you for both of those items.
Yes, thank you, Patty Even, and I will be voting on A, even though I'm now a card-carrying member of AARP. Believe it or not, they start young.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a fiscal office report?
Yes. Thank you, Board. First, I also wanted to echo the sentiments on Mr. Prano. I will also miss. Yeah, I'm on. I will also miss conversations that we have involving financial things from the township in the parking lot. I really think with all the people that I've met through being fiscal officer now for, I don't know, 6 years, 5 years, I'm not sure. I really think, no offense to anyone else, but I think he was probably the smartest one that I've met, and I don't even know if he's a PhD, so.
He is.
Oh, is he? Okay. But I will also miss those conversations, and so my condolences to the family as well. And then lastly, the month of May has been, the financials have been completed, and the adjusted bank balance as of May 31st was $40,426,185.98. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there an executive session needed?
I did not, but if there is a need or desire from the board for any item, just let me know and I can motion us into it.
I'll go ahead and motion to adjourn.
Oh, I love that. I will second that.
Ms. Orch?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned at 7:59 PM. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight and listening to us. Thank you.